what if, right? And here's the tinfoil hat on. All of these celebrities, right, obviously have asset management company that are managing their asset, right? And these guys are the deep pocket that we talked about that coming into getting this piece of the pie. And I'm like, oh, all of a sudden it just clicks on me. And I'm like, that makes sense because all of these guys have probably the same asset manager company managing them, telling them like, hey, wear this on this interview. This is going to do well for your portfolio. And like, the best example I can draw back to a visualization, if anybody ever watches The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, on the HBO show Baller, it's just like literally what I had in mind. I'm like, oh my God, somebody behind the scene as an asset management company is probably telling them like, this is the next cool thing. You can increase your portfolio by, I don't know, X number of percentage. Just do this, right?
Yeah, and I think that's actually completely fair, is that our perception of like TCG has changed.
Yeah.
You're right. I was talking about that earlier, is that I was walking down the airport and 3 people stopped me to talk about TCG.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that collectibles have gone from being something underground to being something that is pop culture relevant.
Yeah.
People are excited to talk about it. It is cool to hold up a One Piece card right now.
Yeah.
So that's part of why everyone is currently really excited in this space.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the TCG Table Podcast. And you guys see who I have with me today. Need no introduction. We got Twicebakedjake. It's amazing because I am at Bandai Game Fest, Car Fest this weekend. And we're finally able to coordinate a time. So
it's happening in Las Vegas.
I know, man. So I
Welcome to
appreciate
Las
you
Vegas.
having me. Beautiful studio as always, guys. I'm it's like I'm in a dream right now. I'm in his beautiful studio. So he was very, very gracious to allow me to use the studio here for space because I'm traveling out. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'm sure the next hour people would love to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
You're already very popular, so I'm sure there's no introduction there. So,
okay.
Yeah, but I always wanted to kind of start with the story of how we met, and it was actually really interesting. We kind of talked about it right when we kind of met back up, but one of my very first show at Collector Expos, I think I met you for the first time. I was like, man, you inspired me to be a content creator, and I was like, one day I'm gonna get there. And
I'm glad you're here, man.
I feel a little bit accomplished, so I'm really glad to kind of do that. And then I know we did a couple of deals that day, so some the Japanese coaster to you, so I'm glad it went to a good home. But yeah,
I'll show you those later, but they're on display right now. Your coasters are in our collection.
Yes,
on display.
Yes, awesome. We got more. So you want. Yeah. I actually, as a first question, I would love to learn a little bit of your origin story, right? Like, I would love to, first of all, my curiosity is like, Twicebakedjake, what does that stand for?
Sure. So the name of my channel, I get this question a lot. I don't try to answer it too often, but the name of my channel is basically, back in college, the nickname that I had was Potatoes. I don't know why, but everyone just called me Potatoes. And that was a nickname that stuck with me. And Potatoes got me through college a lot because it was a very cheap college student food, because I would just microwave a potato for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that would be a meal, you know, because I spent all my money on Pokemon cards. So I would save money by eating like ramen and potatoes and stuff like that. And twice baked potatoes was a very common dish that I ate. And I like the name because it makes me think like, well, I like thinking about stuff twice. You know, I like to think about stuff a little bit more. So the name Twicebakedjake just kind of stuck and it rolled off the tongue. And it was also a callback to a bunch of other content creators during that time, like Real Breaking Nate, Max Mofo. So Twicebakedjake was just a nice way to give some homage to some of the OGs.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that. So a little origin story here, if anybody haven't heard it. Yeah, I think obviously you've been a long time collector and a content creator. So, we talk about it on your podcast. Me being a little bit more newer and more coming in as a vendor first and collector almost second, right? I mean, you can interchange them, but for sure, I don't have the years of tenure as a collector for sure, right? I think for the next hour, I would just love to learn more from you and your experience as a collector and how things evolve since you were collecting until now, right? So, I mean, walk me through it. Why did you start collecting Pokemon?
Yeah, so I started collecting around in college. So like everyone else, I collected it when I was a kid, but I had a very limited collection.
Yeah.
And so when I was in college, I've always had a massive love for trading card games. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Pokemon cards. I love Magic the Gathering. So I always had a love for TCG. But when you reach college and I had a job for the first time, I finally had some money.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
didn't have to ask my mom to buy a pack at Walmart any longer.
Right.
So I was like, okay, now I can finally enjoy what I really like.
Unhinged,
So I
let's
started
go.
collecting again, and it was super underground. 10 to 12 years ago, it was a very underground space. So if
Yeah.
you wanted to collect anything, there weren't subreddits or Discord groups for collecting and vendors.
Sure,
Or
sure.
nowadays, you basically had to look at like obscure forums. Like shout out to SM Pratt on the Elite forum, but that was like one of the spaces. It was very hard to connect with other collectors because it wasn't very prominent. There were
Yeah.
just so few people collecting cards. If you're like one person in college that collect cards, no one else did it.
Sure, sure.
So it was very underground, but it's so flourishing now where everyone collects.
Yeah.
I was walking through the airport just wearing this jacket from Collectopia, and 3 people recognized the event there. They're like, "Oh, you went there. I wanted to go to that card show as well."
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me that I can walk through an airport and meet multiple people that are into card collecting. That would have never happened 12 years ago.
Nice, nice. Speaking of which, how was the Collectopia experience
Yeah,
for you guys?
Collectopia was great. It's very different from a vending show. It wasn't really. It is a vending show where you can buy cards, but it was really an event to pay homage to
Yeah,
some of the
celebrate.
OG collectors. They recognized and gave awards to some of the OGs. So like Gem Mint Pokemon, Steve Aoki, SM Pratt, like all of these guys have been through the hobby for a long time. I'm not even naming all of them, but
Yeah.
they were all great. And it's great that they got some recognition. So I hope that they get to continue to do this event someday. And I hope maybe like you and I
know.
could enter the TCG Hall of Fame.
That would
That'd
be cool, man. That's my next goal, man.
Yeah, there we go.
I always set my goal with you first, so let's work towards that. But yeah. So I think as a collector, I would love to hear like your philosophy in collection, right? Like, what's your intent, and what kind of things are you specifically collecting? Just walk me through a general sense of like what's your style of collecting?
Yeah,
right?
so my style of collecting is really, I'm very artsy in that
Yeah.
I like to display every card. So sometimes people ask me, hey Jake, how do you manage all your slabs? Well, if you look inside of my collection, my slabs are on display.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that many slabs or cards that are in binders hidden away in my attic or closet
Sure.
or in my garage somewhere.
Yeah.
If I have a card, I intentionally bought it with the purpose of showing it off.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in my house. It's somewhere on the wall. I get to appreciate it. And so that's why I like to tell people to do something similar, is that collect what you like, but have a spot for it. Like you're not going to see me stacking cases of Evolving Skies or something.
Yeah.
If I have a use for it, like if I can build a throne out of it, like if I have a purpose for it, sure. But if I buy a card, I'm thinking, oh, I have a spot for that in my collection. I'm buying it with intent.
Sure. Okay. That's nice. I mean, as you guys can see here, I mean, you guys seen this backdrop plenty of time, but man, that's crazy to see it in real person. Some of the
Yeah.
grails
They were
you
all
have
bought
here.
for like under $100, so it's cool to see them now. They were on display when they were $100, and they're still on display now when they're whatever. price
It
they
would
are.
be really interesting to see like your video over the year, how like they just started stacking up,
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like to collect the Poncho sealed boxes anymore because there's a lot of resealed stuff in the hobby.
Yeah.
I'm at least proud that I'm very confident they're real because I bought them like 8 years ago when no one did that.
Yes.
So they're probably real. If I were to ever sell them, I would probably still open them just because I want to be confident that I'm giving someone a legitimate product.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have even the chance that they might not have the cards in them.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually curious to kind of hear your thoughts because this is something been kind of burning in my mind a lot, right? Walking away from doing the card lounge with you guys, and then kind of I see a lot of comment. A lot of time I think the hobby itself, right? They segregate between like, oh, you're a vendor or you're a collector. But in my mind, like when I saw all of that feedback, I was like, I don't think it's as black and white as that. It's very, very gray area. So
I'll tell you,
yeah.
we're all of the above. Like for me and Rob, for instance, I'm a collector, an investor, and I vend sometimes. Like we do all of those things.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have to fit in a very specific mold.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm always a collector first, and those other things take less precedent. So you're right. It's really gray. I do invest in Pokemon cards. I'd be lying if I say I don't.
Yeah.
I do vend cards sometimes. Yes, I do sell cards or trade cards, but that's part of the hobby. It's all one thing. So it's really hard to separate it out. Like, no one's going to be a collector purely and never trade or sell. Like,
Yeah.
that's part of the hobby. Part of being in TCG is the ability to trade and sell your cards with others. That's what I like about it. It's the transaction, it's
Yep.
the interaction that we have.
Yeah.
And that's how we met, is through
Yeah.
an interaction at a card show vending.
Exactly. See, you hear that, guys? Stop flaming me. No. Yeah. So I know recently, last time we met was also in Vegas at Front Row. And I was actually very curious because I was very busy, so I didn't get to ask you. So I'll ask you this on camera here, because I remember you walked up to my table like, "Hey, I have $100 to spend. Give me something like add up to $100 value."
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, that's kind of odd. Like, I don't think I ever had anybody just walk up to me like, "Here's $100, fill it up the back," right?
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear why you do that, and also, are there anything specific? Are you looking for value for $100? Like, what's the mentality there?
Yeah, so it's just something that I do for my own purpose, is that the lowest bills I carry at
Yeah.
a vending card show is $100 bill. I don't carry 20s or 5s, and that sounds like a flex, but it's not.
Hey, no, it's
and
a
that
flex.
the reason why it's that way is that it makes a lot of trades easier.
Yes.
The transaction is a lot more straightforward. Like, hey, I'm going to do a trade for $100. I'm going to do a trade for $200. How do we get to that number? And a lot of ways, I try to bundle cards so that it's a good value for both the vendor and myself. Is that I'm buying multiple cards in one transaction. Could you give me a small discount on multiple cards if I can get to $500, for instance?
Yeah.
So that's something that I like to work on. It's just a lot easier to make these transactions when they're bundled.
So do you walk up with like something you see and then like, okay, let me, kind of engage in that format? Or sometimes you just like, well, I just want to grab a bunch of stuff and see what comes out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, I could go to a table and let's say there's one card and it's like $110. I can say, hey, I have $100. Can I get that card? No? Okay. Well, let's see if we can get to $200. And, they see that I'm working with them in that. Like, I understand that you couldn't sell that card for 100. Well, now let's see what we can do with 200.
Yeah.
And it's a collaborative effort, right? Because sometimes they're looking at their own showcase and they're like, ooh, okay, how about I get you this card? Would that work to 200? And, it's a little bit of a talking communication. I like that. I like the communication and the collaboration.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will look at a price and they say like, oh, that price says 120. I have 100. I can't get to 120.
Yeah.
This deal does not work. Instead of even asking you about that card or that transaction, they've already canceled it out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I try to see what I can work with.
Okay. Yeah, man, you're like my favorite type of customer.
Yeah.
Man, I would just have people like, hey, I got $80 on this like $200 card.
I'm
What
real
you-
transparent about it. Hey, man, I got $100 in my pocket. What can we do?
Yeah, man, if you come up to me like that, I'll be like, you know what? It's 100. I don't really care.
I think a lot of people, they come up to your table because I've been as well, and I see that like they're reserved. They're keeping the secret. They're keeping the cards
Yeah.
close to their pocket, and I really need to know that information so I can help you out.
Exactly.
So once I tell you that, now you're like, okay, what can I do for him? And like
Yep.
we transact information, and we're doing a transaction in monetary value too.
Yeah. In fact, like I have a very funny story when you said that. That popped up in my head, right? Like somebody at a local car show just last weekend actually came up with a BOA SP from EBO3. I was like,
Okay.
oh, crazy! You just have this. I told him, I was like, look, I would love to have it. Obviously, I'm assuming you're not selling it. And then he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get it black label. So I was like, well, let me take a look at it for you, right? I looked at all the things and I showed him like the back is not gonna black label, right? Because I feel like it's just a little bit off. The front is good. I was like, look, here's your card, right? Like I would love to own the card. Obviously, it's a crazy value right now, so I don't know what you want to do with it. But if you ever decided to sell, here's what I think I would be comfortable as a starting point of the negotiation.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been transparent about it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not like me holding a gun to your head of like, oh, sell me this card, or let me buy this card at this price. So I think that's people don't understand that, right? Like the dynamic of helping somebody and having that conversation. So I think it's really important. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So I'm curious to get your take on the current like TCG market in general, because obviously you do a lot of videos talking about it. What are you seeing that is like the insights now, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting because TCG is absolutely seeing another massive boom right now.
Yeah.
Is that all TCGs are really hot? It's not one or two.
Yes.
It's, obviously Pokemon's hot.
Yep.
You were talking about Gundam is
Yeah,
really
yeah,
hot.
yeah.
One Piece is really hot. Lorcana, Magic, like all these
Dragon
other,
Ball.
all these are doing very solid. So if you're a TCG, there's room for you. Back in the day, there was 2 to 3 big TCGs and nothing else. But nowadays, there's a robustness of around I would say 10 to 12 that are all competing for people's attention, people's wallet, all of that, right? And they're all finding their own niches, right? So you don't have to collect one specific thing, which is great. I think more competition, more option is always good for the hobby. Well, what I will say is that we're moving into an interesting space right now where there are a lot of people really deep pockets and they can throw a lot of money around. And it's very interesting because I'm shocked by some of the stuff I've seen and heard. So I'll tell you a story that I recently saw, right? Numbered One Piece cards, right? Like the numbered Luffy.
The serial cards.
Yeah, the serial numbered cards. Some of them, I value them at 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And someone very green to the hobby, a greenhorn, someone that's new to collecting that is, within the last 6 months. They told me Jake, you are crazy. This card is worth $50,000. And I said, in my experience, I would say it's not. But their experience is based in the last 6 months. So I understand why they're coming from. And they sold that card for 60. Yeah. And they schooled me because I'm used to an old way of thinking of, hey, cards slowly go up, Yeah. If I bought this card for 5,000, which is what a serial Luffy used to go for, I'm not going to sell it for 60. But yes, there are people buying it for 60 right now. And that's something that I need to understand is that times are changing. There are just people with deep pockets.
I share the same sentiment though. I'm kind of right in that. I'm kind of like J. Cole, middle child, right? Yeah. I've seen the old school way and I've seen the new way. But I'm just to me, in all honesty, some of those old, One Piece card number does not make sense. Because when I look at it, and I've told my friends and other vendors, right? People other vendors who are more experienced than I am recently have all kind of hit me up with One Piece question because they're like, oh, you got in it right in the beginning, you know what you're talking about. We are coming from the Pokemon side. We don't, we want to get your take on it. And they're like, man, is this card worth $30,000? And I'm like, no. And my simple answer to that is put it back in Pokemon's term, right, for everybody. I think about I don't know, not like a Gold Star, right? Let's just say a Vaporeon Gold Star or something like that. It took how many years for that Gold Star to reach, I don't know, probably 20, 30K right now in a 10 or something, maybe 50, I don't know. And yet you're telling me this one piece card with a number on it in 6 months is selling higher than something like that? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've talked about this with some other collectors as well, but it's interesting how the psychology of collecting works.
Yeah.
Is that once you add serial numbers to a card, it doubles to triple its value. A great example of that would be the Chinese numbered Mew, where it doesn't have a number on it, but we know there's 1,510 copies.
Yes.
And I've talked to other collectors, and if they printed numbers on that card,
oh, it'll be over.
It would be triple to quadruple its current price. Its current price is $20,000, but if it had serial numbers on it, it would be 60. And the only thing that changed was they added numbers to the card, which is so interesting as a collector. That's the psychology behind it. And I'll say I don't care that much about the numbers. I appreciate the art and the rarity. So I don't need a number to tell me how rare a card is.
Yeah.
But I think there are people out there that pride themselves in that numbers, and that's a completely okay way to collect too.
I feel like almost it's like an identity thing, right? It's oh, I own this specific card that no one else in this world can own unless I relinquish that right to somebody else by raising this price that much higher. I think that's why it's so interesting. I kind of foresee this coming, right? The lower the number, closer to one or the single digit, the more expensive it is. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Just give me any number. I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
You're exactly right. There are people out there that says, Jake, I have a 008 Luffy. This card has to be worth $20,000 more than the 783 Luffy. That's just
Yeah.
783, Jake. This one is 008. You know how much more rare? It's the same rarity, guys.
Yes.
There's
yes.
also only one 783. There's also only one 008. I'm sure if you're out there and I don't know, like your birthday, you were born on the 8th day of the 8th month, like you
Yeah.
might care about that card a little bit more. But you're right. I agree with you that both cards are a lot closer than people think, but it's psychology at the end of the day. If you value a lower number card, it is what it is.
It's desirability, I guess. If you can find somebody who wants it more than you,
Sure.
they're willing to hold the bag
Yeah, I
higher
get
than
it.
you. Hey, you do your thing, guys. So we're not shaming anybody for doing that, but I think we agree that for us, a true collector value different things differently. I think going back to the point earlier, right? I think that's why the TCG market right now is seeing everything firing all cylinder. It's just crazy, man. I actually, from that topic, right, I know something in my mind that I wanted to ask you as well, because I know recently I was watching your podcast and I think you were talking about some of the cards that are undervalued compared to like the Moonbreon. And you know what's funny? Because I'm giving you my live reaction on it. When I heard it, I'm like, Jake, it's crazy. But I would love to pick your brain to kind of elaborate on when you say like, oh, you value like the rainbow set more than say the Moonbreon because you think the Moonbreon is overpriced. Walk me through that process for the viewers, maybe who didn't watch that episode. Maybe explain what you're thinking.
Yeah, so it's just based on how rare some cards actually are, and I understand some cards are very popular right now, but popularity can change. That's the thing that's interesting about collecting and hobbies is that some collectibles are extremely popular right now, but they might not be popular in 5 to 10 years. There are so many sets that were incredibly hot 5 years ago, like Shining Fates. Everyone loved Shining Fates when it was released. No one cares about Shining Fates now,
Yep.
and a big part of that is because the hobby is constantly evolving and changing. And we constantly get new, bigger, and shinier cards. That's why, for instance, I'm not a huge fan of collecting Charizards. Because every time there's a new Charizard card, there's always a bigger and better Charizard coming out next year.
Yep.
So it's one of
I
those
agree.
things where I try to focus on what I think is truly prestigious and rare.
Yeah.
So if two cards are exactly the same price, right? And I think they're both equally cool, then I think I would pick the one with the lower pop. And there's lots of cards right now that are way more rare than the Umbreon VMAX that I think are still as cool, if not more cool. And if that's the case, I should buy those cards because I just know the Umbreon VMAX is easier for me to get. It's purely based on how easy it is to get some of these cards.
Yeah, okay.
So I know for sure, like, hey, if I want one, I could get an Umbreon VMAX anytime I want.
Yeah.
So I might as well go for something that is $4,000, but much harder to get.
Interesting.
Can I show you a card?
Yeah, go for it, please.
All right, so here's the comparison, all right? This card is pretty much the same price as an Umbreon VMAX right now, right? So this Shaymin EX. I bought this card for $4,000.
Guys, look at this.
I got this Shaymin EX for $4,000, right? An Umbreon
Yes.
VMAX is like $3,600 right now.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
pretty close in price.
Okay.
But this card, pop 100.
Yes.
It's literally pop 100. If they're both the same price, why would I pick the Umbreon VMAX over that? Keep in mind, I have both. I have an Umbreon VMAX and I have the Shaymin EX, so I have both. But, it's a peer comparison of equal value. Which one would you pick?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, agree. I think what I was thinking is like, okay, in the same caliber, right? And that's why I was like, okay, help me understand something, and I'll tell you exactly what's going through my mind, right? At some point, it's like a paradox, right? We just talked about the serial number being much more sought after, right? Because they're low pop, right? 1, and then 2, they're serialized. And then we were just talking about, well, some of these, like, the lower pop stuff, they might be more desirable later on. So to me, that's literally what I was thinking when I was kind of driving and listening to your podcast. I was like, well, at what point as a collector are we chasing the pop versus the actual card?
Yeah.
And also, more specifically, right, at what point are we just saying like, hey, this card, it might, we speculate and we're like, okay, it's a very low pop, but is it low pop because no one cared to grade it?
That's fair. So here's the thing, right? I try to pick cards that are both low pop but still cool, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a combination of both. So it's not one or the other. Like I'm not going to buy a common card even if it's a pop 1,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
not truly valued, even if it's pop 1, because it's a common card. But there are really cool cards out there. If you want to grab the one over there, the Sylveon EX.
Sylveon.
It's on the table right there. Just press the label right there. Yeah, press in there. Press in. It should just pop out. There you go.
Very smart. Okay, I got you. Yes.
So that Sylveon EX, right?
Guys, check this out. I love this card too. I'm sure Nurse Joy loves this card. Yep.
So that Sylveon EX is also like pop 200.
Yeah.
And it's $4,000 as well. So both of these cards, I say, are the same price as an Umbreon VMAX, but they're not any less cool, right? So
Correct.
They're not common cards. They're from the Radiant collection, from the XY promo boxes. So these are cool cards, but they're so hard to find. If you go to like 10 vending show, I don't think you'll find one. So that's why I say like, hey, there are cards out there that I would say at an equivalent price, they're way harder to find than some of these modern cards. And people are really just focused on like the past 4 years, and they don't realize there's all these cool cards from the past 20 years that are still like underappreciated right now.
100%. I'll show you mine right now.
Sure.
In fact, I'll show you this one first. So this is the let's see, 2010 Pokemon Umbreon Undaunted, so aka the Prime card. So this is a PSA 10. You want to take a look at that?
I saw that other one too, and I'll tell you, that other card, that other Pikachu, I've been chasing forever, I never got a PSA 10 of it.
We can trade after this.
The highest I got was like a 9, and it is really rare. So that's the idea behind of it, is that I know like both me and Deep Pocket Monster were chasing that card at one point. So that's how rare some of these cards are. There's a ton of cool cards out there that are still unexplored. I think people are so focused on the past 5 years, and they're focused even like under a microscope on like 10 cards.
Yes.
You know, like a lot of sets, there are so many cool illustration rares, so many cool secret rares, and people say like there's nothing that's underrated anymore. There's no like secrets in the hobby, and I disagree. I think there's lots of secrets in the hobby.
Yeah, that's true, because
they're just waiting for people to discover them.
Because we talked about it right before I jumped on the podcast with you. I was showing you a card, the Mudkip. I was like, man, this card is like, the PSA 10 is a pop 3.
Yep.
So it's like, it's essentially like a gold star. Like you can't find this card in anywhere. And I can imagine the 3 owners of this card in the world probably not gonna sell it. You know? And it won't be cheap even if they did.
You might not be able to grade the 4th.
Exactly. So the fact that card came out of a 2004 EX deck 10, at this point, I'm like, what's the probability of someone who has a fresh copy grading it at a 10 and putting it on the market? Slim to none.
Yeah.
So I was like, I feel like the PSA 9 should be worth more, right? I was like, maybe I should just grab this.
All right. While we're on this, I got something cool to show you.
All right, let's do it.
We're getting right into it. So I like showing off cards that I think people don't even know exist.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I got something that
love to see it.
I was showing to Nurse Joy earlier, and she's never seen them before. So I know that you're an appreciation of Pikachu. So
always.
If you're ready for this,
yes,
check this out.
Oh,
have you ever seen that card art before?
No, I have not. I think I've seen images.
I don't think your mind. Yes. All right, because it goes further. Tell me these are not the most gorgeous card art you've ever seen.
They are phenomenal.
They're beautiful. These are like pop 20. Ooh. There's only like 20 of these graded. And the funny thing is, no one knows they
yeah.
And I got these for like a super cheap price. They were like $100 or something like that.
Wow.
And the reason why they're cheap is because no one knows they exist. For instance, like again, this is like another secret. You and I both think these cards are gorgeous.
They are.
But they just don't exist. Like people just... They're so focused in on the Charizard V from 151 or something, and it's the same 5 cards again. When there are cool stuff in the hobby out there, and I just like these. They're not even official Pokemon cards, guys.
No, they're not.
They're not official Pokemon cards. They're Tohoku stickers from the re-release of the Tohoku Pokemon Center.
Okay.
Came out last year. You remember that?
Yep, I remember.
From this box right
this set right here.
Yeah.
This set.
So these represent different Japanese festivals. So each card is supposed to represent a unique Japanese festival. So it's very culturally relevant. They're all featuring Pikachu, as well as Victini, which is the mascot Pokemon.
Yep. Got the mouse holes there. Guys.
Yeah, really cool cards. There's a complete set of them. Amazing looking art,
Get
gorgeous on display, and that's all that matters. I'm not worried about their price. I don't care if they go up or down. They're just super cool, and people don't know these exist. And that's the fun part about being the hobby is discovering stuff.
Discovering.
Yeah.
Now I gotta show the camera. This is
Yeah.
amazing. So let me see if I can show 3 first. Look at this. Look at that. These are so cool.
Yeah, when I saw these, I was like, man, I gotta have a set of these.
The other 2. So I just take the other 2 here. Here's the other 2 guys. Oh my god, these are super cool.
Yeah, gorgeous art. That's what I care about. Like, they're gorgeous art.
Yep.
I have the perfect idea for how to frame these and display them. And so I was really excited to add these to my collection. I bought a bunch of other cards I got those from Collectopia. I bought a bunch of other cards from Collectopia. Nice. But the other cards, even though they're cool or more expensive, I'll tell you when I showed everyone that card or those cards,
yep. You get the excitement.
Those were way cooler.
Yes, you get the excitement.
I was excited about those because they were so cool and unique, and the art was amazing. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
and that's what really matters in the hobby.
That's super awesome. I think going back to your point, right? Like why some of these things are so cheap and undervalued and slept on.
Sure.
Is because I think we are at this stage of the hobby where everything is about money.
Yeah.
Like the criteria for it being a cool card and sought after card has to be the fact that this card has to sell higher than the last time you touched it, right? And I think that's why people are not looking for these because they're not gonna sell it for thousands of dollars, right? They're gonna go for 100, maybe then the next transaction, if you're lucky,
it's
like
I'll tell you, I was
bucks.
the only one that asked about those all weekend because people, they didn't know what they were, they didn't care what they were. But as soon as I saw those, I was immediately blown away. I was like, whoa, those are cool cards. So I negotiated with a vendor at Collectopia for them, and we had to land on a price because there are so few sold listings because they don't exist on card market or anything like that because they're not real Pokemon cards and they very rarely sell. But that was exciting to me to land on a price when neither of us know the price of something. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. I think I have a card to show you, but I have to go grab it as well. So we'll pause here. But
you're about to show me some cool stuff too. Huh?
I graded it. So
okay, I got more cool stuff to show too.
Okay, guys, check this out. I just magically popped this in. I don't know if I bought it with me because obviously I'm traveling, but I think if I did, yep, here it is. Okay, guys,
I'm excited.
You won't find this either. So officially on the Beckett website, it's funny because even though I personally graded it, if I look up the population, this is the pop 0.
Okay.
I don't know why. It should have been a pop 1, but check it out.
Check that out, guys. The 2025 One Piece promos featuring the 3 brothers, Ace, Luffy, and Sabo.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Tell me, guys, if this is not the coolest card you've seen.
And so that's not an official One Piece TCG card.
It actually is.
Okay, it is.
So, you know the 3rd anniversary Luffy card where he's like punching and then yeah. So I actually have the card.
Okay.
So I'll show it for comparison. So this card, this one.
Okay. Yes, I've seen this one.
Yep.
The 3rd anniversary Luffy.
Correct. And when I saw this card, I was like, man, this is such a cool card. And I think at the time the English one has not come out yet. So I can only get the Japanese version. So Japanese came with, it's like a pack. So it has 3 cards in it. It has the Luffy, right? The Sabo and the Ace individually, all 3.
I see the art for the Luffy is in that card.
Yep. And this is actually like kind of like the promo topper that covers the pack.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is way too cool of a card to not grade it. So I just do it in grading. And it came back a 10.
My buddy Rod did the exact same thing with the free shipping Luffy.
Yeah.
So he has the only black label free shipping Luffy. So that's a fun part of the hobby is a lot of cards that people out there might discard or don't see the value in.
Yeah.
You see the gem in that card. Because you're like, wow, that's just a cool card.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you just see all 3 characters?
That's very fair. And that's official One Piece TCG art. So that's cool. It's a callback directly to this card. I get it.
Yeah. So see, here it goes, man.
Oh.
So guys, again, like as a collector, man, you're welcome to explore and try different things. I think that's kind of the biggest thing here, right? So with that said, like, I know you also recently started doing vending with Rob. I'm actually curious to see when did you guys decide to kind of jump into that side of the world?
Yeah, so we jumped in around I would say last summer,
Yeah.
we did our first vending show. We've done like 5 or 6 since then. And it was really just to experience that side of the hobby. Was we get to talk to a lot of other collectors now because we're just standing there doing that interaction from the other side of the table. We get to intake cards. We get to give out cards. But it adds something for us to talk about. And it gives us a sign of the hobby, you know. The vendors get to see the hobby in action. You get to see cards transact. You get to see cards move. You get to see what people are asking about. So you're on the ground. You can see, like, if someone comes to your table and let's say 10 people ask you for Evolving Skies packs, suddenly you might think, well, I guess Evolving Skies is pretty attractive right now.
100%.
You know about stuff that I can't figure out just from looking at, you know, charts or data. You got to be out there talking to collectors to understand what people want nowadays.
Yep, exactly. And I totally agree. And I feel like, you know, I talked about on your podcast, for me coming in as a vendor, it's like I got a rocket strapped to my back. And for the past year, I've just been like on an accelerated course of like learning every single piece of card that exists. You know, modern, and then go right through modern, mid-air vintage, you know, like Japanese, all these like promos, you know, it's so crazy. And you're talking to people, you're always constantly seeing like what type of card moves, right? Like, and as a vendor, it's great because then, you know, it opens up to that side of the world. Like, okay, maybe, you know what? I might not personally pick up a, you know, Umbreon VMAX right now, but I know it's liquid enough for me to kind of bring it in at a good price.
I think that's a very fair call out for the Moonbreon, is that it's liquid.
Yeah.
If you have one in your showcase, you know by the end of the day it'll sell.
It will.
There's lots of other cards that are off the same price point and way lower pop or way more prestigious, but they're not as liquid, which is very fair. I agree with that.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating to be able to talk to so many customers and then, you know, being able to see when something shipped. I remember very distinctively when the tag team cards started cooling off. It was at one of the show I did up in the Bay Area, and I noticed a lot of people just, you know, walk right past the tag team where sees the week before, everybody's like, oh, I need that card. So I was like, wait, something is off. Like, just didn't feel right. So I was like, I feel like the market is changing. And then from there, I jumped back into like modern. And the first thing I picked up was the Moonbreon because I was like, I know what's going to move first, right?
Yeah.
That's the indicator, right? To me, that's a marker to tell me the signal of the market. And surely I was right. Like Bubble Mew, Umbreon, those are like immediately the one that like flies off the shelf.
It's true. It's true. You know, like you can talk about like pop reports or whatever, but yes, at the end of the day, like these cards move, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, like there's no better example than the Van Gogh Pikachu. That Van Gogh Pikachu tells you where the market is going, like whether modern is coming back up or not. I swear.
And the hobby is moving so quickly right now. The funny thing is, like, 1 month it's cold, 1 month it's hot, 1 month it's cold again. Things are moving so rapidly, and it's ever changing. You're right. Like, some cards are really hot 1 week and other cards the next week. It's not consistent, and that's part of the risk too, you know. Like, the last thing you want to do is pick up all cards of a specific genre when the fad for that card is over. Like, that would be terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, for me is being able to be a vendor and then collect those data. Like, it's really amazing because that's again how I kind of was able to get a head start with One Piece back in November, right? Because prior to that, you know, you've seen it because I think even you remember at the first show, I had Japanese One Piece booster boxes and no one cared. Right? And I was like ripping those for fun. I'm like, man, this is great, man. This is free, like cheap money. I can rip all I want.
I remember, like EB01 Japanese with Chopper, the pink box in front of it.
Chopper.
That was like $40, and it was hard to move.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't sell it. No one wanted a EB01 box for $40.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, it's all super hot now.
Yeah. You know, I think now that English version of that box is like 1,000 or 1,200 almost.
Because they never reprinted it. You know, that's just how it goes. But,
It's
like, no one knew that then.
Yeah.
Because the risk is in there. What if Bandai continues to restock and print this for the next 8 months? You know?
Yep.
But they didn't. So those that held on to it got rewarded for that.
Yeah. So what would you tell people if they are kind of like, well, I'm in the hobby now, I want to be smart and kind of start looking for like, what are some of the things that I should be collecting now? What would be some of your advice to tell them?
Yeah, I would say start with what's affordable to you and what's approachable. I would say EB03 at 600 bucks, not approachable. I would
No.
not approach that. Destined Rivals for 600 bucks, not approachable. What would I approach? Stellar Crown right now is like $200 a box. I think
Yeah.
that's great. Battle Styles is like 220, 230. That's a older set, but still really
Yeah.
cool. Way more affordable. Way older.
Hey,
So
people
those
still trying to get rid of some battle style. You might be in luck if you're into it.
I'm okay with that. Battle Styles is older than Evolving Skies.
Yes.
And it's a still really cool set. There are good alt arts inside of it. The Sleepy Tyranitar V, that's a card from Battle Styles. So I would say approach where it's possible. Perfect Order, the new set, it's not going to be super expensive. Right now, I'm seeing it going below 200.
Yeah.
It's a smaller set. Nothing super crazy inside of it, but there are some of great cards inside of it. There's a Mew special illustration rare inside of it.
Yep.
So I would say approach things when they're closer to a price point that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of money to throw around, so don't throw around a lot of money. Pick up what is low to the ground.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And I am curious because I keep hearing on your podcast too. So I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
You talked about Destined Rival. I kind of like just watching your podcast. I know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reiterate what's your stance on Destined Rival, and then also a tandem question to that, which is your favorite Scarlet and Violet set.
Okay, I would say people think like I have like a much more like heated opinion on it than I do. I would say I have a Destined Rival sealed box inside of my collection, so it's not like I don't.
Me too.
Yeah, for instance, what I would say is it's more of a signal for the hobby is that I think Destined Rivals being really expensive is a bad signal for the whole entire hobby, because if Destined Rivals like 600, it signals to people
Outrageous.
to buy Phantasmal Flames at 300,
Yeah.
Because, hey, if Destined Rivals like 600, maybe I should store away a case of Phantasmal Flames. Maybe I should store away a case of Mega Evolutions, And I don't want the hobby to head in that direction.
Sure.
I don't want to head in the direction, and I don't think any collector wants the hobby to head into a direction where everyone's stowing away two booster box cases, right? Because that, I would say, is unhealthy for the hobby. So I don't have any gripes with Destined Rivals. I think it's a fantastic set. I think it being at $600 is unhealthy for the hobby.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all.
I agree. You know what's funny? Like when I first got into the hobby, and I talked to some sealed collectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they show me a picture of like the warehouse. They're like, oh, look, I have all these like just brown boxes sitting here, and I'm like, that's a way of collecting. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't have a case of anything. I'll tell you that, guys. I don't have a brown box of anything.
You know what's funny? Because now I have a couple of like sealed cases, and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh man, look who
I
you
think
become.
having a sealed case is okay. Like I've had a Brilliant Stars case for a while, or something like that. But that's because I had a plan for that. We were gonna do something with that box. It never came to fruition. I ended up selling it later because most of my collection is display.
Yeah.
And you can't display a brown box, unfortunately.
Right.
Like some people do. I mean, shout out to like Nostalgianomics or Rudy or something.
Yeah.
Like shelves of brown boxes. But I'm a fan of like cool colors and displays. So I'm always thinking about like, oh, how can I make my room prettier? I like that part of the hobby. Is like being proud of my hobby and being able to look at my collection.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what drawn me into, right? Like the fact that I have PSA slabs. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish there's a better way I can display this, and not just like leave it in like a box hidden somewhere and then take it out when I want to. And
I'll tell you, I don't have like a stack of slabs like somewhere that's like doing nothing.
Yeah.
If I have something like that, it's probably meant to be given away or sold down the line, because if it's in my collection, it's on my wall somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you look around, you'll see that it's somewhere.
No, it's true, guys. This is such a beautiful room. I see a couple of things here that's not even on camera. It's super cool stuff. Yeah. Okay. I would love to also. So what's your favorite Scarlet and Violet set then?
Okay, my favorite Scarlet and Violet set. Ooh, that's a tough one. So Scarlet and Violet is a really good era.
Yeah.
Like illustration rares inside of every single set. To pick a favorite one, I really like Surging Sparks, and a big part of that was because the SIRs are gorgeous. I like the Pikachu inside of it.
I love the Pikachu.
I like the Latios and Latios.
Yeah.
Like that's a callback to like the tag team to me. Like I love those cards. Like I think the illustration rares are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like all the illustration rares and all these sets are gorgeous. So for me, I would just pick the one that I think has like the best artwork, and I'll pick Surging Sparks as mine.
Spark, nice. So I've always told my friends, because recently there has been a lot of talk about Destined Rival, right? I actually have a friend who told me straight up that he's gonna trade in some of the Evolving Sky boxes that he got way back in the days for a case of Destined Rival.
Okay.
And I told him, I was like, well, you know, like I will suggest you think about that like really hard, because like you don't want to trade in 3 or 4 Evolving Sky just for Destined Rival, because I told him that in my opinion the best set in Scarlet and Violet is Paldea Evolve. Like the one that you can get a booster box specifically.
I'll say I've heard that conversation as well. What I'll say is that in Sword and Shield, Evolving Skies is head and shoulders above every other set. It's not even close.
Yeah.
But in Scarlet and Violet, the sets are much closer together. Destined Rivals, if you say it's the best set, that's completely fine. I can respect that opinion.
Yeah.
What I'll say is it's not head and shoulders ahead of the other sets. They're much closer together. And so I would say it's not going to be a next Evolving Skies because it's not head and shoulders above the other one.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the only possible one, if we're not counting ones with booster box, right? I think the only one that I see a clear winner is Prismatic Evolution. As much as I think it's atrocity how the hit rate is, I think that one from a desirability years from now is going to be one of the probably the harder one in Scarlet and Violet to me.
We'll see. I agree, is that it is a really cool set. We just don't know how much stock of it's available, so that's the hard thing, right?
Yeah.
Like people are debating these as if we know the numbers.
Yeah.
If we knew the numbers, it would be less of a talking point. Because yes, you're right. Like certain sets are better and worse, but it's really hard to talk about sets when they're still being restocked in stores. You know?
Yeah.
If they restock Prismatic Evolutions for the next 5 years, then people will care about it a lot less. You know, if you can go into a Walmart 5 years from now and still find Prismatic Evolutions packs, it's going to be less interesting. But we don't know that. You know, we're talking about something we don't know.
Speculation. But actually, this spawns up a funny topic that I've been thinking. I want to pick your brain. So the Moonbreon VMAX in Prismatic, right? The Moonbreon?
Yes.
I had never seen anything like it, and I want to get your take on it. That is literally the only card I've ever seen commanding that high of a price, but no one ever buys it. And this is coming from me as a vendor. If somebody walks that card to me, and I look at it, I'm like, I don't want it. Because how expensive it is.
It's expensive and it's less liquid than the Umbreon VMAX is what you're saying. I get that.
I'm actually just genuinely like interested to get your take on it, because you obviously been around the hobby much longer. Have you seen anything like it? For that being a very desirable set, that being the top chase of the set, and it's like no matter if it's like the raw or PSA 10, nobody actually wants it.
Well, the part of that is it's the anxiety, right? Like we were talking about, the numbers matter. Right, it's a very expensive card, and it commands that price because it's hard to grade, and it is really hard to pull. Like there's one copy in every 2,000 packs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a collector, I know like I could still rip open Prismatic tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I know that I could still rip open Prismatic Evolution packs tomorrow is part of the reason why I don't want that card right now, because that option is still available to me. Once that option is off the table, that's when people will want that card.
Want that, yeah.
Yeah, so part of it is the fact that people just say, oh, yeah, it's 4,000. I understand why it's that price. But if I want that card, I still have a chance of getting it tomorrow.
Yeah, and what do I have to give up to get that card? And do I want to do that at this moment, right?
Right, and you're seeing the opposite with like the Moonbreon, is that even though the population is 20,000 PSA 10 or whatever, if you want that card, you sort of have the feeling, oh, I have to get it now.
Yeah.
Because if I don't get it now, I cannot go buy Evolving Skies packs. I'm never going to rip it.
It's not economical even.
Right. You're never going to rip open Evolving Skies packs at $50 a pack or open up a booster box at $3,000 a box or something to find one. It's just not possible because it's also 1 in 2,000. So your only option is to buy it from that vendor.
Yeah.
So the psychology behind it's a little bit different.
Yeah. So it's fascinating because to me, like I've seen newer sets came out since Prismatic, and top chases goes for, if not similar, at least like in the 2,000, 2,500. Like the new Charizard right now from Phantasmal, the PSA 10 is like, I don't know, like 2,000, 2,500,
Yep.
right? I know we're talking about maybe like a lot less, but just looking at the market, I'm like, people willing to buy that card right now at $2,500, for the Charizard. Why aren't people picking up the Moonbreon? I was like, this is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's part of like that restock element. Is that Prismatic is still being restocked.
Yeah.
Packs in like Sam's Club or Costco, but Phantasmal Flames, it has a feeling of out of stockness. Is
Yeah.
that the booster boxes keep climbing, So if you want one, you have that sort of feeling where I got to pick up this Charizard now, because there is technically a chance the Pokemon Company never reprints it.
Yeah.
I would say that's a poor decision because they should reprint it.
Best Charizard looking.
I mean, it's a great set, and they'll make the money because if they print it, they'll sell, right?
Yeah.
We know if they print more booster boxes, they'll sell. So I think they would. But if you are on the side that, hey, Phantasmal Flames is going up in price because the booster boxes are getting more expensive right now, I'm never going to pull one in a booster box. Might as well just grab the card and be done with it.
Yep. It's actually fascinating because in just the last 2 weeks, I think in multiple shows, I've heard people coming asking me for singles for Phantasmal Flame. And I'm like, well, I don't really have them because no one wanted it, And then they're like, yeah, I'm trying to master set. I'm like, why? What's going on with Phantasmal Flame? They're like, oh, everybody's doing it right now. I want to do it before. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like,
it's very interesting how it's like little rumors or little stories, just like you're saying, little speculative stuff. It's very funny because I saw the same thing. Phantasmal Flames booster boxes were $220, then $240, then $260. Like every week it went up by $20.
Yeah.
And still climbing. And part of that is because of Destined Rivals climbing. So people are like, what's next? And so, like, that's what worries me in the hobby is that people are collecting it out of fear and panic rather than excitement for the cards. The reasons why we're collecting matters. I want people to be able to collect because they're excited about the cards, they're excited about the set, they want the cards because they're cool, not because of the fear of missing out.
Yep. The FOMO.
That's not fun. Like, no one wants to collect because they're afraid of missing out. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reason we'll switch into the next segment here, which is like, for me, one of the reason why I kind of branched out into other TCG, right? And I think also maybe that's why we're seeing a market where all the TCG is kind of popping off, right? We talked about earlier, because now it's like, man, I don't want to chase after the speculative monetary value as opposed to cool stuff.
Yep.
So for me, when Gundam came out, I was like, man, this is my alley. I've been collecting Gundam since I was a kid, watched the anime and all that. So I was like, I'm going to go all in.
It's made for you. That's perfect.
It is absolutely made for me. And I've been opening them and I've been like, man, this is fantastic. I get 8 LR in every single box guarantee and then 2, plus chances here. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And it's like $120. I was like, who cares? Just rip them all.
Yeah, I'll tell people that, like, collect whatever makes you happy. Like, if collecting makes you angry, if certain things make you angry, just don't. Don't collect it. Like, if you're frustrated that Destined Rivals at $600 and you hate the hobby, take some time off. Collect something else or do something else. Whatever makes you happy. Don't do something just because you feel like the need to do it.
Yeah.
Collecting is an option,
Yes.
We have the choice to collect something or not. So you decided, hey, I'm kind of done collecting Pokemon for now. I'm going to collect something else. And I think that's really healthy. And I think people should approach it like that. Is if you want some time off and take a break from the hobby, that's completely cool.
Yeah. And actually, like, that's actually really good advice because, sometimes when you take time off and then years later you come back, you're like, wait, I missed out on all this stuff. Now you're going on a scavenger hunt, trying to catch up, to some of the things you missed. It's part of the hobby, I think.
Yeah, and another great thing about it is that you get to see what the other TCGs are doing.
Yes.
Because you and I have talked about how, like, oh, this TCG is doing this texturing, this TCG is doing this holo pattern. They all do their own different things to compete, and I think that's cool. The hobby should compete. I want people to compete for the Pokemon companies, like first place. They should feel challenged.
Yeah.
They have to do better.
Yeah,
so it'll be
yeah.
exciting to see what comes out of this.
More
competition is always great.
That's great because now they actually have to print better QC cards.
Exactly.
Man, like, I've been grading One Piece in the last few months, and now I'm like, I fear going back to Pokemon. I was like, man, Like I don't remember the days when I get all nines on myself.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I was thinking about was that in One Piece, right?
Yeah.
The quality control is way better.
So good.
So you get black labels a lot more often.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize it's actually kind of easy to black label certain cards, and they're still carrying that prestige of these black labels as if they're super rare.
Yeah.
Some are, but some aren't. And as a collector, you just have to recognize like, hey, just because it's a black label does not mean it is that prestigious. So
Sure.
it's interesting to see like, oh, is this a one of one black label? Like this is the only black label out there, or is there 100?
Yeah, yeah.
That might be a little bit more or less valuable.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of other TCG, we talked about it, and I want to kind of switch that topic.
Sure.
You got into Riftbound, right?
Yeah.
I know. Again, I was watching your episode where you start talking about it. You say the game was pretty hard to approach in the beginning, but I think since then you got more deep into it. Walk me through your thoughts on Riftbound. I'm sure a lot of Riftbound, content creator or viewers love to hear your take on it.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say about it is that it's a new take on TCG. I can clearly see that they adopted a lot of stuff. So they have a mana mechanic that's very similar to Dawn.
Yeah,
So
resource, Dawn.
they have a
whatever you wanna
resource
call it,
system. What I'll say is that they might have gone too complex with their game, is that some of the rulings aren't intuitive and make sense, and that draws away some player. I'm excited for it because Riftbound is still very popular.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that collect it, and it'll be interesting to see. So I'm following all of these. Like I follow One Piece, I follow Pokemon, I follow Riftbound. I'm following Bandai for TCGs from you, like Gundam.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where in 2 to 3 years, which one of these TCGs sticks around.
Survives.
Yeah. I think that's the interesting thing right now.
Yep.
Like there are people that are buying Dragon Ball cards. There are people that are buying Lorcana cards. There's people buying Flesh and Blood and all these other TCG. And it'll be interesting to see in 3 years after the dust settles
Who wins?
and this bubble is over, this hype is over, what actually sticks around.
Bubble is a very interesting thing. Like, so at the day I got into the hobby and I talked with some of the, more seasoned vendors, right? And they're like, yeah, this is going to be a bubble. It's going to be over. Prepare for that. At this day and age, I almost want to reevaluate whether that statement is any longer true.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a great, interesting thing is that there are people out there that are warning about a bubble, like for me. And there are people out there that say, Jake, you're wrong. And I would say that's okay, is that there's periods of golden ages in everything. Like we all know that collecting cards can't last forever.
Yeah.
We know that there's a limit to how long it is, but it could be 2 years. It could be 20 years. Like the golden age of comic books lasted like 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
Baseball collecting, like that hype train for sports card collecting lasted also like 10 years, a decade. So we don't know. Like we might be at the very start of a decade.
Multi-year run.
Yeah, exactly. A multi-year run. Or we might be on the edge of it and by next year no one cares. We don't know. Like I'll say that I don't know. So I think it's okay to say be prepared for it because it could happen 12 months from now. It could happen 10 years from now. But I'm sure we both will say there will come a point in time when people just move on to the next fad. So I think it's okay to say to be prepared for that.
Yeah. One of the insights here, and I think I'm sharing this for the first time, and it's purely my opinion on this, right?
Sure. I'm excited.
So One Piece is kind of where I really, the light bulb went off, right? Because when I saw Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, all these celebrities, right? Tom Brady had a One Piece shirt. All of a sudden, I'm like, why all of a sudden overnight, everybody just knows about One Piece? And I'm like, some of these celebrities had no rights. Like Tom Brady, I'm pretty sure he does not know anything about One Piece. I could be wrong, Tom Brady. Maybe you want to jump on a podcast and let me know. But I can safely assume, right, that is the case. And I'm like, why is it that he's all of a sudden just never seen him wear a One Piece shirt, all of a sudden overnight just wear one at the time where it's booming? And I start drawing back to the money, right? And I'm like, okay, what if, right? And here's the tinfoil hat on. All of these celebrities, right, obviously have asset management company that are managing their asset, right? And these guys are the deep pocket that we talked about that coming into getting this piece of the pie. And I'm like, oh, all of a sudden it just clicks on me. And I'm like, that makes sense because all of these guys have probably the same asset manager company managing them, telling them like, hey, wear this on this interview, this is gonna do well for your portfolio. And like the best example I can draw back to a visualization, if anybody ever watches The Rock, Dwayne Johnson on the HBO show Baller, it's just like literally what I had in mind. I'm like, oh my God, somebody behind the scene as an asset management company is probably telling them like, this is the next cool thing. You can increase your portfolio by, I don't know, X number of percentage. Just do this, right?
Yeah, and I think that's actually completely fair, is that our perception of like TCG has changed.
Yeah.
You're right. I was talking about that earlier, is that I was walking down the airport and 3 people stopped me to talk about TCG.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that collectibles have gone from being something underground
Yeah.
to being something that is pop culture relevant.
Yeah.
People are excited to talk about it. It is cool to hold up a One Piece card right now.
Yeah.
So that's part of why everyone is currently really excited in the space. You know, it went from being something super nerdy, like, oh God,
Like, oh God, look at that guy.
You collect Black Lotus, Magic the Gathering, you loser. It's completely changed from that, right? It's cool that a football player, it's cool that a top level a streamer is now collecting TCG. But that's also part of the warning sign, is that these fads don't last forever. You know, what's cool today, it's cool to have a Labubu on your purse or something.
Yeah.
It might not be cool 2 years from now, because things move very quickly.
Labubu is 3 months.
in the culture space, right?
Yep.
People, something's cool today, something's not cool tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. Next thing you'll know, we'll see like Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift with a little One Piece card on their purse. That'd be insane.
That would be insane.
That's when you know you've reached the peak.
That's when you need to sell.
If you see Taylor Swift with a purse with a One Piece card, that's when you know.
That's the signal, guys. You ready? We said it here first, okay? But yeah, then going back to Riftbound, I think I am curious to take, again, we talked about off the podcast. Maybe we can discuss this a little bit. I have a very opinionated take on Riftbound right now, and I can explain mine, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Riftbound, its outlook, and I don't know, just how are you excited? What do you think?
I think for the local space, they did a great job executing on that, which is that there was a lot of immediate local play. Bandai, take note. Because what you'll hear is that it's really hard for like Digimon or One Piece or Gundam to do locals, because the support from Bandai is really slow. Riftbound did a great job with Riot Games, is that they immediately launched with a ton of local support. So they grassrooted. Any card shop can get Riftbound locals, and that helped it popped off really hard, because everyone's excited to play it, and there's events being hosted, and it's being promoted by the company, which is great. I know your take, which is a little bit, is that the cards from the collectible side, they're a little weak.
Yeah.
And I actually fully agree with that. I think from the alt art perspective, the SPs or the signatures, they could do better on the over-numbered cards. Is that they're not quite there on the collectability side yet, which matters so much in the hobby. You got to be collectible nowadays. You can't just have a TCG not be collectible. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think so. So here's my take. So Riot, I know some of the folks that worked there long before and maybe still now, but like my take on this, if Riot, you guys ever watching, please let me know if I can help. But okay, here's my thing. My checklist, because I came up with this checklist literally on the day Spirit Forge launched, and I opened my first box.
Is this a checklist of what makes a good TCG?
Of why I didn't like Riftbound.
Let me hear it. Let me hear your review.
So history here. Origin, which is the first base set, I opened about 6 boxes in total. I didn't hit anything, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, okay, maybe it's like loose box or whatever. I didn't really look into the statistics, but all I remember was like, okay, first thing first, I opened all these cards and I can't tell if it's a common that's like 20 cents or a rare card that's like, $40. And even some of the full art that you think like, this is really cool and it should be worth more, right? And again, I know we're talking about value, and collecting maybe not always supposed to be value, but like this card should be desired more, right? If you will. And I'm looking at the actual market. I'm like, why is this card 20 cents and no one wants it?
I hear the same complaint from Pokemon. Because everything you just said, I think you can say about Pokemon too. Is
Yeah.
that, hey, I just opened up a case of Mega Evolution.
And there's nothing in it.
You pulled nothing.
Yeah.
You sort of get the same feeling. And the same thing with pulling cards and you thinking they're valuable, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing in Pokemon is that a lot of people who are new to it, because it was your first time opening up Riftbound. So imagine it's your first time opening up Pokemon. You might pull
EX.
You pull an EX, you're like, yes, I pulled an EX Charizard. Guys, this has to be valuable. You got it. And like you take it to a vending card show and you're like, oh, I'll give you $2 for it.
I'm like, yeah, that's like the saddest thing I had to do to like, you know, kids.
The kids,
who come down, oh my God. I'm like, no, here's a free pack. Take them.
Little Tommy here says he pulled a lot of great cards. Show him, Tommy. And they show you like a bunch of EX cards.
I'm like, those are great cards. You know, I actually, like, funny story, because as a vendor, right, I'm like, hey, these are really cool. If I were you, I will hold on to them because they mean more to you than they are to me. And I don't think you should sell them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's true, because you know what, years from now they could be worth a lot, and we've seen that before. EX cards, right, back in the EX era, right, now it's like super expensive. But yeah, so okay,
that was one of your complaints. You have
my first thing was like, okay, why do I just feel very anticlimactic opening in like multiple boxes of Riftbound?
I get what you mean.
Yep, so that's the first one. And then I looked into the cards and I'm like, wait, why is the printing so bad? And we're not talking about just like quality control, because we've seen Origin, quality control, fine. But when I opened Spirit Force, right, and I looked at the chase card, like the chase cards are very vibrant. I think you had one you put on your channel. They're very vibrant. But everything else, I'm like, why does it look like these like fake proxy cards with like the weird like rainbow color shines to it? I'm like, does this look even legit? Like for being a real TCG game from Riot? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So that was another thing, right? And then, you know, the collectability is why I don't play the game. I really wanted to enjoy the IP. Again, for context, I never liked it, the MOBA style type of game, so I never got into League of Legends. But the TCG is where I was hoping to like really enjoy it, because I like collecting cards. I like collecting beautiful cards. But I'm just like, man, I just don't see it. Like it's something pulling it off.
I'll give them, like I said, I'll give them a couple more sets to find their setting. I'll tell you, One Piece had the exact same issue.
That's right, in the earlier sets?
Yeah, in Romance Dawn or OPO2, OPO3. You remember some of the first time the cards were printed? When they didn't even do full art versions of the card, and like there was a giant white box that covered up most of the OP cards from the original set. That's how they used to be. They were very ugly. They were all screenshots from the One Piece anime. So they couldn't find their strides yet. So Romance Dawn cards were hideous. So it takes some time for these cards to improve. So I'll give them a couple more sets. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see if they find their strides and they hit it out of the park in 2 years' time. That's the true test.
And I think, so my last one, I think this one is such an easy fix.
Okay.
And I really want them to do it. Like all the other stuff, I feel like I could be going into the territory complaint. But my biggest... again, like maybe progressive conversation for Riot is, I look at pulling their, like when I open the packs, right? And you get their leader cards. And I'm like, this is such a cool card. And again, this is bulk. I'm like, this is your biggest IP. Like your character is your biggest IP. Why can't you just put some texture on it? Like just do that and you sell so much.
I agree with that, in that I think it should be cooler. I think it'd be great if the leaders were cooler. What I'll say is that the leaders in One Piece are also really, really cheap.
That's right.
There are some textured versions. And for all the Riftbound cards, there is a secret rare or textured version of the leaders. So there is a hyper rare chase version of them. But the regular ones are kind of ugly in that like they could have made them a little bit more pizzazzy. Right.
And I'm like, this would make collectability skyrocket just in general, right? Because I want to collect the leaders. I actually contemplated of getting a whole page of just the leader, even though they mean nothing, right? Almost, right? But I'm like, man, but it means nothing. Make it mean something, right? And I would love to collect it.
It's the same with the leaders in Spirit Forge. If you've seen all the secret rares or overnumber version, they're multicolored, but they're kind of ugly. You know, they're two colors, but they're all in these weird hues, and they don't look crazy. But like I said, I'll give them a couple more sets to find their strides because it's the same with the One Piece leaders. The first couple of sets, like the original like full art versions of the leaders,
Yeah, it was terrible.
they're just headshots of them, which is kind of lame.
Some are even bulk, like literally, like not even shiny, like just bulk.
And now, obviously, you see some of the One Piece leaders where it's them, but they have their whole entire crew in the art. It's like crazy, beautiful, gorgeous artworks on the One Piece leaders, and that's what can expand to. So it'll be interesting to see what some of these other TCGs do, because yes, they can always go up.
Yeah,
you know? They can always be more creative.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think those are kind of like my take on Riftbound and where it could improve. Which again,
I think those are all fair critique. I think if Riot was listening, they should write those down because I agree with all of them.
Yeah. I think, to make their set meaningful, and I know a lot of people want to collect, I think they make the barrier to entry to collect very, very difficult, because you're either, the only thing that's worth collecting is over number and signature, and they're incredibly hard to pull, and they're very expensive to buy in the aftermarket. So you can't imagine somebody who is like, I don't know, like 17, 18, or even in mid-20s, who's just going to be ready to show out that kind of money to collect, anything meaningful in Riftbound, and they don't play.
Yeah. I'll tell you, of all the TCGs, I would say the ones that are doing the worst practices is actually the Pokemon company.
Yeah,
because you and I have both ripped open multiple booster boxes of Pokemon, so there's no guaranteed pulls. In every other TCGs nowadays, you get a guaranteed secret rare
something
ratio inside of your box. It's just guaranteed. Because no one wants to open up a whole entire booster box and get nothing. It's a feels bad man moment.
Yeah.
And Pokemon is the only company that still does that, where you can rip open a booster box, rip open 3 booster box, you get no special illustration rare.
Nothing.
And everything you're saying is exactly the same. Is, hey, the only thing that's worth collecting in Pokemon is the illustration rares and the special illustration rares, and those are few and far between.
Yep.
12 packs, you get like maybe 1 illustration rare.
Yeah, nothing worse. Actually, in fact, like I said, nothing worse than opening a full booster box just to hit that like low end SIR or SR trainer in like the first, second pack, and you're just like, yep, the rest of this is gonna be nothing.
Yeah, like like you could open up like 12 Ascended Heroes booster pack right now. That's like $150 or something, and you might get nothing.
Yeah.
You open up $150 worth of packs and there's not even like one single illustration rare.
Yeah.
It's a terrible feeling. So I hope they do something to fix that, and I hope these other TCGs upping up their game would make the Pokemon company up their game. But,
challenging.
It's up to them.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what's your take heading into the Pokemon 30th anniversary?
Yeah.
I would love to get your take on it. You've been around obviously in the 20, 25. So give me your take on that.
So what I'll say is that from my experience from all the previous anniversary sets, they start off really, really exciting. As we get card reveals, as we get set names, everyone's excited about them. But as the set gets released and as more products gets on store shelves, after a while, the luster fades away. And I think that's normal because you celebrate it by its generation, when it's exciting on release day, but people care less about the 30th anniversary, the year after the 30th anniversary, right? So that's what happened with Generations. 10 years ago, when Generations came out, everyone was excited about it, but then every single month, they release more products, and after the 12th month of seeing the next Generations product on store shelves, people cared about it a little bit less. Obviously, it's super expensive now, but I will say, if you're someone collecting long term, be excited about it. It's cool to be excited about the generation sets or the celebration set or any anniversary set, but just be aware that these companies have long product life cycles ahead of them, and they plan these for a long period of time, because there was a point when Celebrations, the last anniversary set, was really exciting. People sold out of Celebrations in the first month, but they restocked it again and again and again. And there was a point in time when Celebrations went on fire sale. Obviously, I can't say that will happen again because the hobby is so exciting right now. But just be aware that these products have a long life cycle ahead of it. And collecting is a very long-term journey.
Yeah.
I plan on collecting for the rest of my life. So I know that if I don't get any Celebrations 30th anniversary product on release, I'm okay with that. I'll try again next month. And I take it in strides.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think I always tell people like 30th anniversary is just heading into it. It's just kind of like a weird like space because I feel like the mega set, right? The in the beginning they drop Charizard, drop Gengar, and then now we see the Greninja art, and then Rayquaza, and I tell people I'm like, look, man, at this junction in time where Pokemon Company has been challenged probably the most ever, right? Like there's a lot of different TCG popping off. One Piece is gunning after them. They released Greninja and Rayquaza. And again, people are like, but Rayquaza is like such a popular Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, but if you look at the TCG, not a lot of Rayquaza cards is like desirable. Like Gold Star is like, I talked about a couple of episodes, right? That's probably the only one that's like really anybody cares. So I'm like, man, it's kind of, if you think about it, the reality is they're heading into the 30th anniversary. It's kind of weak. Especially when they're being challenged the most right now by multiple card sets.
That it is interesting because they don't actually put that much emphasis on the anniversary sets. Like Celebrations is not that strong of a set. You know what I mean? It's got like 50 cards inside of it. Yeah, it's got a stamp on every card, and it's a super tiny set. Same with Generations. It's a cool set, but it's like 50 cards. So these Celebration sets are meant to be small and easy to open and rip open and easy to pull. So I hope that's the case, is that it won't be anything super crazy.
Yeah.
But the Pokemon Company, because of the way that they work and that everyone's so excited for the next Pikachu, the next Eevee, the next Charizard, they don't have to go crazy. That's the interesting thing, is they could sort of do what is expected of them and it'll work.
Yeah.
You've probably seen all the different fakes on Instagram of people throwing out like, oh, what if they did a full art Charizard?
The manga Pikachu, you saw that?
Yeah, I saw
the AI.
Yeah, so all of those ideas are actually interesting. If they did any of those, it would all work.
Yeah.
Any of those ideas would be enough to sell the set. That's the interesting thing. All of those ideas technically work.
Yes, they already penetrated the pop culture.
Exactly. They can just release an illustration Pikachu, an illustration Charizard inside of the Celebration set, and it would be enough. That's all it takes.
It will go crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, man, Pokemon Company, step up your anniversary game because all the other TCG, the anniversary stuff has always been, like, really good.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the textures in Gundam, the texture in One Piece, all these card games are doing leaks and stuff that are way cooler, way more collector-friendly than the Pokemon Company. So I hope they adopt some of those ideas.
And the player side, too, not to even mention, right? Because, like, we almost now exclusively talk about Pokemon as a collectible item.
Yeah.
And I've talked to so many people where they're like, man, but the game kind of rudimentary for elementary kids, So
yeah, and I think the Pokemon Company, they're okay with that.
Yes.
So the thing is, the Pokemon TCG was always designed to be something that a 5-year-old kid can pick up. So they want it to be rudimentary, It's exciting that there is a competitive side to it, and you can play the Pokemon TCG whether you're 5 or 60, but it's not designed to be as complex as some of the mechanic-heavy ones like Magic or One Piece. Yeah.
Yep. So okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll get down to the last segment here. I'll showcase this card. I don't know if you have another one you want to showcase, but we were just talking about this early on this episode where you and you guys have still been collecting.
Tell me about this card a little bit. So I know a little bit about this card because I tried to grade a lot of copies of it to get a 10. I never got a 10.
Really?
Like even cards that the Japanese vendor promised me was mint. It was like a 6 or something.
It's a tough grade.
Yeah, so this is from the Arceus movie.
That's right.
Yeah. And it is Ash's Pikachu.
Yes, it's one of the few in the entire Pokemon history, right? And this is also a mid-era vintage LvlX Pikachu here. I'll show this to the camera.
Yeah. So this one I find interesting because it's not just Pikachu. It is a specific Pikachu, which is Ash's Pikachu.
That's right. So I actually saw this card at a local card show last weekend.
Yep.
And as soon as I saw this in the tent, I just stopped dead on my track. And I'm like, how did you have this?
How did you get that one?
Yeah.
I got a really cool card to show you.
Oh.
So I was talking to you a little bit about this.
That's right.
So this is a card that I graded, and I know the person who won this card from their tournament, but this is a Pop 1. So this is the only PSA 10 copy of this Victory Cup.
Wow. This is so cool. I got to show you this too in the camera.
It's never sold because I was the person that graded it, and no PSA 10s of it exist outside of this collection. So there is no price on it.
Wow.
because it's never sold.
That's really awesome. It is a first place battle royal. That is.
But here's
so
the thing:
cool.
people don't value these cards that much. Like if I were to put this on auction, maybe it'll sell for like
You know who
1,000
value-
or 2,000.
You know
or
who
something.
valued this? Clover.
Yeah, sure.
Clover is a big like winner trophy card collector.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think this is a cool card. For instance, like I said, if I put this on eBay
Yep.
auction, it might go for 1,000 to 2,000. But I appreciate it more than
Yes,
that. Like I value it
100%.
more than what it would sell for at auction. So I liked it. It's a pop one card. I know the person who won this specific card from the tournament in 2013 when they competed in it.
Wow.
So it's meaningful to me, and I didn't realize it was pop one until after I graded it.
Yeah,
I looked it
yeah,
up and I
yeah.
was like, oh, I guess I have the only PSA.
Yeah,
10.
you all pop one.
Yeah,
That-
and
that's really cool.
I graded this like 3 years ago, and there has never been another PSA 10, so it's the
Wow.
only one in my collection.
Nice. All right, yeah, that's So I mean, just to wrap up on this, right? This is like just exclusive Japanese Pikachu card, and it's an Ash Pikachu. You cannot find this in English. And when I saw it, I was just like, I gotta have this card because I know the true value.
You and
of
I
it.
have a good eye in that we appreciate the same thing. Is that you're right? If I saw that came across my
Yeah.
table, I would immediately recognize how rare it is.
That's right.
And how hard it is to get one. So,
Yeah, and I think most people would have just walked right past it, not bat an eye, not even know what it is, right?
correct. A lot of people would look at this and be like, "Oh, well,
Cool. Another Pikachu. I never seen it before.
pass,
Cool. Yep.
pass."
Japanese.
But for collectors like you and I, like as soon as I saw this card, I immediately appreciate it because I know how hard it is to get
Yeah.
one. Because I've never gotten this one. So
All
I know.
right. Well, we can do a trade offline here, but yeah. Okay. Well, last thing. You're already like super famous, so but please tell everybody how to find you on social media, all that.
Absolutely. So I'm Twicebakedjake. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube, you can follow me at Twicebakedjake. And we have our own weekly podcast, the Card Lounge Podcast, which Hero here has been a guest on. So check
right,
out
that's
his
right.
episode if you guys
They-
ever want to see it.
Yeah, you guys were my motivation to start the podcast, so it's full circle
Yeah,
moment.
appreciate you, man.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much for being on here. So, guys, we will see you on the next episode. All right, peace.
Peace out, guys.